32 minutes late.
32 minutes late. Well, we had a little bit of a camera issue,
It
but we
broke.
made it. Jessie, how's it going?
Good. It's good.
Is this how we're going to start?
I mean, it's awkward.
I still want to call you Jessie Wharton. I keep forgetting. Oh yeah, you got
So
married.
do I.
So
does
for those
everyone.
who don't know, Jessie's actually my cousin. We grew up together.
Yes.
We've been racing motocross a while and been in the sport. And you got married though and changed your last name, and it's
I
throwing me
did.
off. How
I
long have
did.
you been married?
5 years this summer.
Has it been 5 years?
It has been. Yeah.
You know what? The best part of your wedding,
Oh no.
which was one of the last weddings I was at, was
Oh, you're admitting that on.
yes,
Okay.
is I just randomly bumped into Billy Laninovich.
Yes, you did.
I look at him. I look at him again.
Yeah.
I think I know you. I think I've seen you on like
Once or twice.
once or twice on TV
yeah.
and stuff. And I'm
Posters,
just
yeah.
looking at him. Is that Billy? Oh,
And he
yeah,
just
it really
like
is.
looks like a Greek god, and you're just like, that is Billy.
He is a fine looking man.
He's a good looking guy.
And he can throw some fatty whips.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wasn't ready. I'm like, what are you doing in Battleground?
I know.
It was kind of weird.
The weirdest part about it is the fact that Chad, because Chad doesn't
Your
ride.
husband.
My husband, he doesn't ride. I think you can walk faster than he can ride, and he ended up rooming with Billy and Casey Johnson, because Billy was my trainer when I met Chad. So Billy was who I was working with that national season, and I'm like, all of Chad's friends that are in the moto industry are like, wait a minute, you're rooming with Billy Laninovich and Casey Johnson and Dylan Epstein and all these moto guys. And Chad's like, yeah, who are they? And I'm like, let's just Google him. And we did. And Chad was just like,
So why is your husband Chad? Why is he a guy who didn't really ride or anything? How come he hung out with so many moto peeps?
He grew up in Southern California.
Is that just
So
what happens?
that's just what happens.
Was
And
he one of the
so-
bros?
No. I just think it was parents didn't want him to ride. It didn't work out financially. And then he actually has his good friends. They're the guys that ran Split Designs. And then the program Ride SoCal, where basically you can vacation in California and ride around. They worked for them. So he set up at tracks. He just never got into it. And then that's ultimately how we met, because I knew all of his friends in the industry, and we just,
It
kinda
just
collab-
happened.
Yeah, it
That's
just
funny.
happened.
For someone who doesn't ride, he
Yeah.
sure knows a lot of moto people.
Yeah, no, he'd go to the track, and he knew people just from where he lived. Again, it's one of those places you live down there and you are running into them. I mean, I remember going to Chipotle after church one day, and Ryan Villapoto sitting right next to me. I'm just like, okay, like in this setting outside of the track, it's just crazy. Everyone's down there. Yeah.
So here you are. Anyways, we
Here I
went
am.
on a little tangent there about your last name, but
Yeah.
here you are. You're now a mom, living the mom life.
My mom.
But back in the day, you were a racer.
I was a racer.
Can you say you're retired now?
Yeah.
Or are you just taking a break?
No, I'm retired.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know people ask me this all the time, and it's like every year I think to myself, I go, man, that'd be so fun to go out and just ride one more time or one more race. I always get really excited around summer, and then I go home to my 2 kids, and I'm just, no.
So I want to talk women's motocross
Yes,
then.
you do.
Because we've talked about it a few times. Well, normally when we talk, it's either about supplements,
Yes.
about tacos, how to
Dandelions.
make good tacos, or women's motocross. So
Yeah.
you raced professionally for a while.
Yes.
So you got to travel with the WMX series while it existed.
Yeah.
And being as we're all from the same family, I know you're capable of being very vocal about topics.
Throw me under. You have a talk show, so clearly you were the.
We're related, obviously. So let's have a little fun. Let's theorize here. I told people that we were going to talk about why is women's motocross dead. Obviously, it's not dead.
No.
But I threw that out because I don't think we're at its really peak.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't even say it's plateaued. It kind of.
It's in a weird spot.
Yeah.
There is no nationals.
Yeah, it lost its prestigiousness when they took it away from the outdoor nationals on
So-
a Saturday. So
So let me ask you this first off. Do you think having a women's national series is all that important?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think it's because there needs to be something to strive and work for?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
as some people have commented and talked about before, they think, why don't the women just race with the guys? What do you say to that?
Why don't you? Just still race with the guys. I race with the guys.
What about at a
And-
national level?
No, you can't race with the guys nationally.
You don't think it's
No.
really feasible?
No, you can. The sport's evolved. Riders have evolved. Bikes have evolved. Tracks have evolved. We're seeing kids on 50s go out and beat somebody that's been, riding 20 years. We're seeing kids on these little bikes jumping huge jumps, just competing at a whole different level than they did 10 years ago. So naturally, women, it's a smaller pool, right, of women doing it, but they've evolved too. So women are faster, but the guys are faster. So you had girls qualifying, you've had girls qualify for their Supercross license. Back in the day, Jessica Patterson did, Tara Geiger. You have Vicky Golden. You had girls like Ashley Fye. You had girls that would clock in with the guys' times. And it was always a lot of talk. Practice day would come around the morning of the race of outdoors. And you'd always see the bottom 40, like the bottom 38 to 42. And once in a while, you'd see Filik's name in there, Patterson's, Tricker, and some of these girls. And the argument was, okay, they can compete. Well, you can't compete.
So you don't think women can compete at the same level or same lap times as men at the top echelon?
No.
Like the 0.1% or the 0.01% of all racers, the
Yeah.
ones we watch on TV, you don't think the best women will... Do you think they'll ever compete with the best men?
Are we watching the same Supercross and outdoors right now? Because there's thousands of guys that aren't. Like I watch Mason, and Mason is extremely fast. Mason is faster than any girl right now. Sorry, Mason, that probably sounds bad. I mean, yes, you are faster, Mason. You're faster than the women. But Mason's struggling to make it in. And even the guys that are making it in, they're not competing. There's a difference between making it in and then competing. So there's girls that I think, I remember seeing Hannah Hodges as I was transitioning out.
She was fast.
She still is fast. But her goal was to compete and beat the best of the men. Hannah hasn't done that yet. She beats men. I beat men, but
Yeah, we're talking top level. So
that's the difference.
There's people who argue that we're taking away the dream, that they think they can go and one day we'll see women winning supercrosses.
Yeah.
I have been vocal, and I do not believe it's physiologically possible. And I couldn't exactly tell you what it is.
We're not created equal. That's what it
there's
is.
some things, and there's some sports women really do great in. Actually, one sport, I don't know why I've gotten so interested in this, but ultra marathons.
Yeah.
People who run 100 plus miles, it's crazy.
Things out
Women
in the desert.
are actually really good at it.
I actually saw something when I was waiting at the airport like a year ago. This woman in this crazy, run through the desert. I don't know what they call these things. Maybe it's an ultra marathon, but there was no women's and men's class. It was everyone together. She got first. She beat these men. She got this, and I'm just like, her,
was it the 200 some mile race?
All I know is it was through the desert.
Yes.
In
What's her
Arizona
name?
and California.
She was eating nachos the whole time. I forget her name though.
She killed it, and she beat men, and she's, she makes a living doing this. She's one of the most fit people in the world. She's amazing, and I like how we don't even know her name or what's going on. But no, I think women. I always say it like this: I would go to the gym and work with some of the, icon sports down in California, Charles Dow and Eddie Costellas, and I would do 10 pull-ups, and you'd have, Canada or Dungey or some of these other guys, Cooper Webb, they're out overdoing 25 to 30. So 10 for me was good. I weighed 115 pounds. That was an accomplishment for me. It's not as much as the guys. The guys never once said, oh, you only did 10. And I never once was like, oh, well, you only did 20, 25. It was, for me, that was an achievement. That was a top for me. For them, that was their top, right? You can't compare apples and oranges, right? You just can't.
Some people argue they're all apples.
No.
Me, I think there's apples and oranges.
There's
I don't
apples and
think
oranges.
we'll ever see. I mean, you can put me on record. I don't, and this is not a diss at all. I just do
No.
not think you'll ever see a woman win a Supercross.
No, not in
And that's
our
not. I'm not trying to diss on them.
No.
Actually, the whole point of this is I want to encourage women to get into and race motocross. But I think we have to be somewhat realistic. So, with that said, sounds like we both have a bit of an agreement on that.
Yeah.
You think it's important to have though something for them to strive for.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So even here's the thing. I never once thought of like beating certain at local races. Yeah, it was always okay. I tried getting a good start. I went to not even local races, but I raced in the intermediate class, the 250 intermediate class, when Jessie Nelson was out there at Arizona Cycle Park, and I got like third on the start. I also got lapped realistic goals, and they were at the time. And then other girls, Casey Christensen, she was out there that same moto, and she beat 5 or 6 of them. You know what I mean? So it's realistic to compete, but not with the top tier.
So, what do you think we need to do? Because here's what I think women are struggling with. Okay, so if we have an agreement that women, that the top 0.1% best male racers will smoke the top 0.01% female racers.
Okay.
But it'll probably be important if we have nationals or a high level competition or series for women. How do we do that? Because it's been attempted. You raced the WMX series.
Yeah. No.
I think part of the struggle, though, is especially when you see them on the same day as the guys, it's just not as exciting.
Okay, no. So I agree and I disagree with that. I think because I was a nobody. I was not competing for the top of my class either. I was just trying to make top 10. Okay, so that's the truth of that. I wasn't competing with Phi. Like, I remember my first year first national, I was getting lapped 3 times. Second year, once. And then the last year that I did it, the last lap of every moto, I would get the checker right behind me. And that was an accomplishment for me. But I would have, and I say that because, again, I was a nobody on the national scale. And I'd have spectators. They'd come up to me and they'd say, oh, I recognize you, or you're this or that, and that's so cool. You're out there, hucking that jump or doing this or that. So some people watching these races, they do think that it's cool that this girl just went out and did the same exact jump that the guys did. And then other people watching it are critical, like, oh, this is what the women do. You know what I mean? So you can't please everybody.
No, but think about who I get why they killed it, because they were struggling to get the draw and the cash, because 80% of the people who watch nationals and supercross on TV or in person aren't diehard moto fans. There's a ton of them who've never lined up on a gate. Think, what do they have? 40-some thousand people in the stands? How many of those people do you think have lined up on the gate? They say at least 80% of them have never done a race in their life.
Yeah.
A lot of them have even never owned a dirt bike, but you have to get their attention because they're the ones technically paying the bills. They were going there for entertainment. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle for a local racer. We see some local racers just smash around the track. Local PIR, Washougal, they're just throwing down. And then you throw them into 250 class at the Supercross, and they're getting lapped, sometimes double lapped. It's just a different level, and they don't look really impressive. However, see them in their local pool, and they do look impressive. I kind of think you would get the same with women if you... Man, just running them right with the same time as the guys, though, it's hard to get the entertainment value. But I don't know. What would you do then? Like, you'd have to bring back it being a prestigious event. So you can't say, because some of these girls, especially when I raced, you had Sarah Price was the first girl signed by Pro Circuit, the only female ever signed by Mitch Payton. And then you had Ashley Fialik with America Honda. So you had these girls and Tara Geiger, Troy Lee. You had they had these amazing rides that most men will never get. So they were treated and viewed as professionals of their class. You don't have that anymore because there is no professional of the class. These girls are racing an off-day race. They took it away from the same day as the guys. So there's the problem. So it's just been a downhill spiral since then. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, I mean,
But
do
that's
we
also
add it?
why they put us towards halftime.
Do you think they
You know what
could
I
do it
mean?
as a halftime thing again? Do you think we need to remove it from the AMA Nationals altogether and there could be like a different offshoot?
No, because people aren't going to come to that race.
I
People
had
aren't.
see, I had an idea which I'll get into in a couple
Ooh,
minutes. I
why
actually
not
had an
now?
idea
Give
as
it.
a promoter.
Let's hear it.
But
I want to hear this.
we're going really deep down just the is nationals important, but we'll go into the local stuff
Okay.
actually in a minute because I want your thoughts on that too. But I guess I have to go into it now.
You have to. Wow.
We have a monopoly in the U.S. I'm not going to other countries because I haven't followed all of that stuff. Although I would
Yeah.
love to do some Canadian stuff. They have way more fun than us.
They do.
The Canadian Nationals
know.
are a hoot.
I've heard a
Watching
lot
them,
about
the
it's a
announcers
hoot.
have more fun. A hoot.
Mason, my family went to them. Mason did them.
Yes,
And
I want
heard
to go
the
hit
stories I heard and the videos. My mom would send me videos of like what's going on, and I kid you not, people like I was just like, wait, this is real. Like this is straight up Nitro Circus. This is not a real national race. Let's all just go.
a few. It looks like a straight up hoot. So kudos to
hoot.
those people having Yahoot.
A hoot! It's a
Yahoot.
hoot up there.
They have a lot of fun doing
They
their
do.
races. But in the U.S., I don't see why there couldn't be a competing. You wouldn't even have to be a competing series. You know, almost like
Are we talking about boys and girls?
Yes.
Yeah. The
And
dream. I know where you're going with this because I think we've.
Have we talked about this?
Yeah.
Well, you know what made me think about it recently was how the old timer nationals work. Do you know how they work?
Yeah.
Each round is in a different state, typically. Okay. Each round is ran by its own club. That's old school racing. Every round was a club. They have to all work together, like for series high points and stuff. But there was a group that managed each and every race.
They kind of like dirt diggers with Hangtown. Is that right?
Exactly. There was
Okay.
presidents, vice presidents, secretaries for every round, and they managed everything outside of that. Like they'd have sometimes their own fundraisers, their own everything. Why could there? Actually, you know what? This is something that AMA could totally do. Just in theory here. Why could there not be a call to all-star series or something where there's a variety, kind of like amateur national classes, but there would be a couple premier. For example, a pro class, like bump up the age to you have to be over 18 to race the nationals, and anyone 16 to 18 cut their teeth doing this series that travels the US. Let's say it's 8 rounds, okay? 8 rounds, and you know, just like they're adding more amateur stuff to Supercross, that could be
Right.
the indoor
Okay.
version on the day after. And then outdoors, put together your own. It doesn't have to travel with the nationals, although you could.
Is it the same track? Are we talking like the same tracks?
Any tracks. You can make it anywhere. Like just pick some and make it like an amateur national series with amateur classes, but a couple. Riverdale. Who knows?
Is that where this is going?
No, totally not, actually. But each one is managed by a club and a couple premier classes. Like if you want to get your pro card, there is a 16 to 18 pro class, and guys can cut their teeth, get some good rides, and make it fun. Make it 125s only. I think we need to bring 125s back. Your dad was on here and disagrees with me, but bringing
I just
in
think they've tried that.
here's why I think 125s is because I think a lot of these 16-year-olds can't hang on to these 250s and especially a built 250. They're not physically there, and they're weeding themselves, as Reese
I
would say.
agree.
So let
Yeah.
them race against top level competition on a bike they can manage. Yes, I know there's fast 16-year-olds on 450s. I get it.
But generically speaking,
Yeah, let's maybe make it a little easy. You can go race against the best of the best. You're all on 125s. There's
I think
cheaper
the
to
problem
maintain.
with all of this separation is racers go to these nationals as well, even if they're not racing them. Relatives, family, people in the industry. I mean, how many races do you go to? And like Supercross, Seattle, we're all up there.
There was Arena Cross.
Right.
It'd be the same idea as Arena Cross. It's like the next tier down.
It would have to be close. When I'm talking about the travel, I just feel like it would have to be close enough to the same day and the same track, if not the same track,
Why not? Why couldn't you though? I mean, think about it. The arena
Like
cross did
amateur
its
day, turning amateur days into an actual event.
an actual series with
Yeah.
actual points, and you could actually get some teams together. I know this might be a stretch and could never work 'cause it's just a theory. Totally just throwing this out, but where they could actually get used to traveling, and maybe you could, instead of, I know you're not going to get a TV deal, why don't you live stream it to a website and your social media and do with announcers and everything? Basically, just, oh man,
I
we
just
don't
think
need
that-
TV deals. We don't need TV deals. We have the internet.
Yeah, that was
But,
their
like,
excuse.
have actual announcers and everything. Set it up like you would for the nationals, but it's the one tier down. Call it whatever you want, but have 2 premier classes. One where you can have the people cutting their teeth trying to get ready to race the real nationals in 16 to 18 range, especially because we're bumping up the age to 18 or over now for the real stuff. And then have 2 main premier ones will be like the main events, and maybe that's the only ones we televise. I don't know.
I think the only the problem is money. Spectators.
How much money do you have to really pay out though?
All I know is what goes into a national or a supercross day, outdoors, indoors, whatever, is just money. You walk around the pits, you see the people working behind the scenes. So look at, like, I was talking to Chad when we were watching
You can do all that.
practice.
You can totally do all that, and
No.
especially in 2019. Look at us.
us?
We're live streaming.
Looking at
Yeah, look at us right now. We are set up, and we're streaming live to multiple
China.
platforms.
And Russia and all over the seas. What
If
is
you
this
want,
called?
yeah.
Moto. I just.
This is called Moto Monday, Jessie.
I was like,
Did you just ask what podcast you're on? This is
no.
not the Pulp
Oh,
Show.
and I'm
This is Moto
staring
Monday.
at your shirt.
My shirt
even.
says Moto
I hate
Monday.
The Pulp Show. No, ew. I would never.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say like JJ Design. I was gonna say something.
How much budget do you think they really need to set up multiple cameras and
think
do
they
a
need a lot of
full
money.
show? I don't know. I don't think so.
I think even when you look at, like I was saying, when Chad and I were watching Supercross practice at Supercross, and I'm looking at how well the guys are trained. What are they called? The little track guys, not the flaggers, but the guys that pick up all the hay bales. There's like 50 people
Track
out.
workers.
Track workers with little helmets.
Well, you wouldn't need.
But listen, they're so trained. I'm like, these guys are awesome, and they work their butts off from 2 hours ago to the very end, right? So I was just watching that, and I'm counting, and I'm looking at the flaggers, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, she wasn't talking about the video side.
no,
She was
I'm talking
just
about
to run the
money.
But the
I'm
videos-
talking about no.
we don't
no.
need all that. Just
Oh,
take
No,
it
you
as
do though,
advertising.
but you
the
do
video
though.
is what brings in advertisement.
But if you want it to be viewed as being as prestigious as the outdoor nationals, because we're not talking about Supercross, we've been using examples of that, but as the outdoor nationals and trying to bring the whole idea of women's back into it.
Not just, it would be a bunch of classes. Women's would be one of the 2 premier actual pro paying. Everything else is amateur. You'd only have
But
2
again,
pro
you said
payout
at the
ones.
beginning, you said you have to get people on board, the spectators, people that don't know anything, that don't ride.
You call it the
you s-
amateur nationals.
You still have to get them on board with now these amateurs or the premier, whatever these people, when they transition, where's the argument? Why do they deserve to be there then the day of? Or why do they, because then it's like, even live streaming doesn't, it's not going to bring people to the track as much as it is to have a 1-day event for this outdoor national. You know what I
if
mean?
it's called how many people go to Loretta's?
A lot. But Loretta's is Loretta's. How many people go to compare?
If the
Freestone's
AMA
tried
said
to
we
do
have
it.
if we have a amateur national series, an 8-round amateur national series, and each one will be broadcasted to our make an app for whatever you call it. Well, yeah, like there's the NBC Sports Gold, there's the ESPN Plus. Make an app. It
I
costs.
just drove by Little Caesars and I found out they have an app.
yes.
They have an app. I was getting my sesame seeds before I came
And
here.
if you want,
It's like they
you
have
know,
an app. You can design your pizza. You can call. Sorry.
you can make
You
an
can pick it up in
Little
the hot box. You just
Caesars?
walk
I
in.
really don't
know.
think
I
it
was
would be
like, I
that
just went in there
expensive.
to get a pizza. Sorry.
We'll go to the local stuff here in a minute, but I don't think it'd be that expensive to set it up where you could actually have broadcasters, where you could have cameras, you get sponsors. You don't think it's possible?
I think about when Master Pools wanted to do this amateur national at Glen Helen. I think about the James Stewart National, whatever. I remember what the heck, the Spring Classics. I was kind of just, that was the beginning of my moto career, and the Spring Classics were huge. And then what happened? They started dying, and then they did die. And ultimately, Freestone hasn't
Maybe they're
taken
just
off.
bad
Daytona
promoters.
hasn't. What I'm saying is, bad promoters are not. Loretta's is Loretta's because, again, it was like established in the day and it's lasted, right?
Almost
That-
every amateur national died though because they didn't keep up. Like things are going quick. As a promoter, I can tell you things are
Yeah.
moving quickly. You have to keep up to how you attract people to your event. You can't just
Yeah.
hire a cycle news reporter to come out and take pictures anymore. As a former cycle news
Or
reporter,
Verb, yeah.
I can tell you that was one of the tricks. That was one of the main tricks. Is
I don't know. I thought they pushed really hard with even Verb, Moto Playground, all that stuff when they brought out all the media, and Facebook really came around and they did amazing. I mean, remember Kyle Cowling? He did amazing videos. He promoted these events better than some people have ever promoted the Supercross races, and it's still.
so you don't
died.
think it could pay for itself?
No. Well, I mean, I don't know actual numbers, so that's why I don't. I look at it and I'm like, people in the industry that I run into, whether it's PIR or at Seattle, it's like people are still striving for what? To make a main event, to compete in the main event. They look at the riders have not been quiet or secretive about it. People say all the time, you see on the forums, oh, we need to start a union. We need to branch off. They treat us like, there's all these arguments. It just hasn't happened yet. There's a reason it hasn't happened yet. And I think it just comes down to money.
So do you think there's no possibility
I
of
don't.
having a women's national? You just don't think
Women's or your little.
we're going back to women.
Oh, okay.
That was just one theory I had is making an
making
amateur
it-
national series that's
well,
a tier
they
down.
put the women's class on amateur days as of the last 2 years after they canned it. I don't know what they do now, but the deal was you guys are just moving. You're still WMX. You're still the best. Yada yada yada. You're moving to tomorrow or the day before, whatever national. Some nationals will go. And that is why it died. And that was proof that the prestigious day of event, when you have, again, nobody's coming to watch these events, family, friends, like people come up to you. Like I remember being at Washougal, for example, in 2013. And I had so many people coming up to me. I recognize you, or you're my coworker, so-and-so, or I know you through. It's like you're drawing a connection to these people, right? You have to be there that day. You have to be at the big race because you can't mimic the sight, the sounds, or the smell of an outdoor national.
Sure.
You can't. And we know that as riders when we're training or practicing, right? You can go out and you'd be faster than this guy for all week when you're training. But on a national, you cannot mimic, again, like if you can't mimic that. So when they say like you go out and you do your 40-minute motos, right? And you're laying down this lap time, but then on the day of you can't get a start and you're not even able to break into top 20, there's a reason because you can't mimic that. You can't take that home during the week.
So do you think there's no chance of bringing back an actual women's national series?
I don't think there's no chance, but I think where
If there is a chance, what do you think it would have to be?
it would just have to be the men in charge saying, okay, we'll do it again. It was literally a couple of it was the men in charge that decided we're done. It was not a unanimous
Okay,
we're
so
losing money. It was.
Do you think so let's say it's part of the nationals again. It travels
Yeah.
with the men. Do you think it should be part of the regular broadcasted? Because we do have time slots with TV. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Or I think is what they did is they ran them, but they weren't on TV. They just like kind of did a little quick preview or something.
Yeah.
What do you think would work if they just brought it back to the part of the regular nationals?
What, to keep it afloat or to promote it?
Any of the above to make it work.
Just to bring it back would say a lot. Because to bring it back, you would have to now make requirements to get your license. There would be standards. So then that would bring more girls to these amateur nationals. So it used to be, you had to get top 4 at a regional. You had to get 2 top 4s at a regional, Loretta regional qualifier, or you had to get top 10 at Loretta's, right, to qualify. So that brought in girls to those amateur nationals. And then that brought in actual speed and talent because you couldn't just go get a top 4 at a regional. You had to go to the area. And then even if no one was at your area, a regional had 20 to 30 girls. So it was hard to do. So then you weeded out faster from slower girls. and right. So then to get more girls to the amateur nationals is going to just draw in and follow them to the nationals, like crowd. And then to keep it afloat and to promote it, I think just better social media presence. I don't think you need to broadcast the whole thing, because I don't even think I would watch the whole thing.
So
I think what they were doing was fine. I don't think there was changes that needed to happen. I think,
one of the issues, they couldn't pull a full gate. They had struggles getting full gates, and the girls near last, I'm sorry, were not that good.
No.
Which I think that is more of a problem of just a numbers game. How many men race, how many women race. Percentage wise, you're only going to have so many fast girls. I think if we really bolstered up local numbers, that would help produce more faster, to at least get some gates and stuff.
Well,
I do think they need to bring the prices down to compete.
Prices and just in general, again, the WMX series, but I'm trying to remember the years, but even
real quick,
go ahead.
How much did it cost you to race a WMX National?
I don't remember.
It wasn't $40-50.
No, you had to buy your license, and then you had to have specific graphics and jerseys, and you had to buy. I just remember my dad was constantly having to change out the little eject helmet thing. Like, even those cost a lot of money because they would get dirty or water. You know what I mean? It costs a lot of money, but
I'm down for making you have to work to get your pro license instead of just kind of tossing them out to anyone. I'm down for that, but I think you're scaring a lot of people off with how expensive it is, because it's already expensive just to get there, just to prep your bike, just to get the logos,
well, and that was what I was thinking. I was thinking when I was mentioning the years. I don't remember. I think in 2009 is when I started to get serious. That was my first regional I raced. Okay, and then I remember thinking, oh, I could qualify. Right. Okay, so I'm trying to think before that what the qualifications were, and if I remember correctly from conversations with some of the girls that raced pro, there weren't very strict qualifications. So when I jumped into it, and MX Sports kind of came over, AMA or however that worked, is when they said, here are the standards and here are the qualifications. And the qualifications then were like, oh crap, we have to go race Loretta's to qualify. Well, that's expensive, and we can't just go race Loretta's. And then you go to Loretta's, and 90% of the Loretta's gate were East Coast girls that kicked your butt, like bad. And it's like, oh crap, the same girls are like here every year. They live here. They're gonna anyways. The point was, I think that this women's motocross, the WMX, wasn't around long enough to build up a idea that this girl could make a career out of it and make money out of it. So then that's where it became expensive, because you saw the top 3 to 5 girls with actual rides making money. No one else made money. You made money off sponsorships, maybe you had airfare, travel, gas, bikes covered. So, but not many girls made money from it. So then that's where it becomes, no one stuck around long enough it wasn't a mature enough class, you know what I'm saying, to become affordable. And I remember, WMA was the beginning of it. Mickey Keller started WMA, and that's back like when I played soccer and rode horses. That's when I didn't ride Moto. And then she sold it, and it became WMX. And whatever year that happened is when it became this new thing. And then it died before I came out of it. So it just never matured.
Well, I just thought of this. This is us talking ideas. What if, so the Nationals, we're just talking Nationals. We're not going to go indoor Supercross at the moment. So let's say the Nationals. So I understand if it's, it's kind of a bad look if you can't get full gates, all that. Okay. For one, I really do think they need to bring the prices of racing down.
For everyone.
Other, like most others, everyone.
Yeah.
Why is it so much money? Like, okay, so
how much money is it now? I don't even.
Your brother races Nationals.
Do you think I asked him? Hey, Mason,
I did actually. I think he said it's over.
Don't.
I think Kurt and him said it's over $300 for your camping and all that.
I know it's. When I did it, it was not as expensive as the guys though. So just in all transparency,
I don't think it should be much at all, because you're the show. Like MMA, they pay you just to show up. You are the show.
Yeah, but you can find almost any bald-headed guy to go fight someone like you. Sorry. I had to. I'm sorry.
Thanks,
but
Jessie.
there's more people. Okay, how many people are?
More people show up to Nationals than to UFC fights.
To
except
watch or
for
race?
to watch. To
Okay,
watch.
but we're talking about competing. So you said they pay you, right?
Okay, so for example, well, some arenas do get bigger than nationals, but for example, there's places where there's arenas of only 5,000-6,000 people. Okay, you're watching
Okay.
a UFC, top of the top of the top. The lowest paid guy there is still getting paid like $5,000 just to show up.
Oh, sign me up.
Just to show up.
After
He
I
doesn't
have
have
the
to
baby,
win,
I'll go
lose, or
do
anything.
some
That's just to
fighting.
show up. He gets a win bonus. You know, a lot of these guys are 5-5. They get $5,000 to show up, $5,000 if they win. Why are we charging all these people? I think they need to make it a little cheaper. I'm all for making you have to work to get your license,
Yeah.
but make it a little cheaper for these guys when a lot of these privateers, such as Mason, don't get paid anything. They have to pay to show up every time. So
Yeah.
maybe here's an idea for the Nationals. Since we have all these streaming platforms and the Nationals are going to be on NBC Sports Gold, right? So you don't really have the same time restraints, right? It's streaming. What if
Right.
we're going to go back to 125s?
Oh my gosh. You just want to go right at 125, I think.
I think I bought one today. It's funny.
That's new.
I'm not good on a
At least it
125
wasn't
either.
a pit bike or a scooter, so moving up
So-
in the world.
Okay. What if? So
Wait, go
outdoor
back
nationals
to
take 2
125.
hours,
Okay.
right?
What?
Two
for
30,
the
30-minute
streaming?
mode. No,
Oh,
right
the-
now the Nationals take up 2 hours of TV spot, right? Two and a half.
I don't know. I don't even watch the outdoors.
You don't even watch. Okay.
I don't. I
Okay,
have
so
a life.
Here's an idea. Where do they help me, Joe? Do they start around noon?
No, they. No.
One?
I like how we should.
Yeah, Joe. I'm trying. This is the first time you've talked in this entire show.
You should be
I don't
looking this
even
up.
remember.
Okay, so here's an idea. Why don't we add in 2 more classes and have them run first? Women's 125, women's 125. Boom. That's like the
Sorry,
preliminary races to set up for the main show.
I wasn't even listening.
Yeah, the tracks will
the
get
question?
rougher. I'm fine with the tracks getting rougher. You know, we're getting whooped on by European riders because they ride rougher tracks than us.
It's true.
I don't like rough tracks, but I'm a pansy. I'm a weekend warrior. I ride my dirt bike like once a month. But
I get what you're saying.
why don't that would give more opportunities to these guys. Add in those, and that starts us off. You know, like we do 250, 450, 250, 450. What if we did women's 125, women's 125? Those are shown only on the streaming services. And then the big show, 250,
Isn't
450,
that
250,
what they-
450.
Oh no, I know what you're talking. Okay, I remember. Sorry, I was thinking, didn't they already kind of do that? They did the recap of the women's
Yeah.
on TV, and then if you wanted to watch the full moto, only certain races had it, and you had to go find it online.
So, and maybe make it 20-minute motos instead of the 30, because these are the, you know, it's not the prime time stuff, but
Yeah.
2 moto format, women's 125, women's 125, 20-minute motos each. All the fans are going to be there. They get to see them. They get to recognize some names, and it's streamed only. Okay, you don't have to take up any actual NBC airtime, and then boom, you get
One
main
of the
guys.
arguments we had at Hangtown because they changed the WMX schedule in the 11th hour of Hangtown going into Freestone, and the argument was we don't have enough money to cover you guys, and then we said, well, then just don't film us. We always like, just don't film us, just let us keep our schedule of first moto or halftime moto and then moto after the first rounds. And they said we still have to pay these guys to be here the same, so we need them to start packing. And I remember I remember your parade lap of your last moto after this revised schedule. I remember seeing people cleaning up, loading up. So the TV crew was leaving our last moto. So the argument is, MX Sports said, at least, we have to pay them no matter what. So we want them to get out of here earlier. So, I mean, that probably, if that's the truth, then that wouldn't work even if you did these motos in between, because they just want to be done earlier in the day.
I think get that out of the way first, though. Do those, and that's for going back to fighting for a minute.
Oh, like
there's prelims. This is a very popular format. There's the prelims fight. These are the lower grade guys who aren't top tier or really super famous typically, but they're usually the up and comers.
Okay.
You know, they're in the prelims, and the prelims are often shown for free or on the streaming service.
that's cool.
And then You have the main card. Boom. That one's still on streaming, but it's now also on either main television or it's the pay-per-view. But they entice you in by showing the prelims. The guys don't get paid as much typically, but it's a way for the hardcore fan. They get to see all of it, and this is just a way to warm you
could
up.
probably fit one class for sure. Both motos, one class.
But it's like
Heck, you could fit one class in after practice, before
plenty of
opening
time.
ceremonies. Yeah. But then they wouldn't prep the track, and then you still have to pay the announcers, and then you have to make sure the flaggers. I mean,
They would also have to have qualifying on a Friday for all the lesser classes.
yeah. And then they still have to
I think
have
we need to go back
practice.
to that though. I
'Cause
think
you
we need
couldn't
more practice
qualify. There's
qualifying
not
on the
enough
day
time
before.
for-
Yeah, because
all
you'd
that.
still have to have. I'm thinking about it, but then again, it's still going to cost more money because you have to be there Friday,
Right.
and then that means you have to be there Thursday, because you have to show up through tech. And
They
you
did
have
it
to-
before.
The
And
rigs
press
have to
day
get in,
and all
and then
that,
that
or-
means you
They
have
did
to
that for
leave
years.
Sunday. You can't leave Monday.
They did that for years.
Well, we weren't as high maintenance back then.
We need to quit being high maintenance, and
We're
we're paying
high
our TV.
maintenance.
We're paying our TV people too
What are
much.
we called? We're millennials. Or I guess the people running it are ancient, so never mind. But
I think it could.
Cater to the
I mean,
millennials.
obviously, there's
it's about us, Joe, not you. You had your time to shine.
There's 1,000 different logistical issues, but I think it could be a possibility.
I think we should just get a really rich person to sponsor us.
Yeah.
We'll go get Trump. We'll be
Well,
like,
we can't
hey,
get any CBD people involved.
That's another, yeah.
We could get Dan Bilzerian to throw down some money, but we're not allowed to show CBD stuff.
Why not? In your make believe other series in the alternate
Amateur
universe,
Nationals?
yeah, that one. It could just be all about CBD. Be like, you can only ride here.
That's the
If
other
you're
cool
on
thing
board
about streaming is it
with
doesn't
us.
have the same TV laws.
Well, YouTube, look what they're doing. Censorship. We should do an episode on that.
Censorship?
Yeah. We'll
Let's
talk
go
about
ahead and talk.
vaccinations.
I was just going to say
Hey,
vaccinations.
Moto people. We'll talk
Do you,
about
okay,
vaccine.
real quick. Do you believe in flat Earth?
And I'm sorry, what?
Do you believe in flat Earth?
Flat Earth?
Do you believe the Earth is flat?
Where's the camera? I totally can see you being like, yeah, Jessie, I have evidence. Is that what you're going to say next? Where's Chad?
No, I'm not
If
a flat
Chad,
earther.
Okay, good.
I
was
want to
like,
get a
if
flat
Chad
earther
is
on
listening
here.
right now, he's excited.
No, some of the things I want to get a flat earther on here to talk. I know a few, but they all told me no.
I know a couple too.
And I want to play my didgeridoo.
Oh, you're getting that out?
I bought this on the last Moto Monday. I went on Amazon. I told people what I was doing. Guys, this is a
Gross.
40-inch didgeridoo. It's like a
Didgeridoo.
travel size. It's not like the big 6-7 footers. This is a small one. I won't play it for you, but we're gonna make a Moto Monday song on this thing.
It should be the intro song.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the intros are just so awkward. They're awkward. We need to have the thing going.
A
Like the
didgeridoo
man
song,
lady
a
that was
Moto
just
Monday
playing.
song. Yeah.
Yeah, that would scare people away right away.
And
Save
we
them
should
all
have the
of this.
guests have to start off the show by trying to play it.
I think that's a good idea.
That would be pretty good. That would be a good
yeah, no,
humorous
but
start
our
to
next
things.
podcast could be on not flat Earth because that's just censorship, vaccination, homeschool,
Whoa.
public school,
Whoa.
all of that.
Whoa,
And I'll be
whoa,
your
whoa.
host.
We're- they already got mad at me because I talked to aliens for what 6-7 minutes
I think
last
so.
time.
When did you talk about aliens?
Last episode? I freaked
Yeah,
everyone
Flat
out on the
Earth.
after
I
show.
didn't
Oh, we
even
went to
want-
Flat Earth and how
On the last one?
yes, and the only way to communicate with aliens is by using psychedelics. But when you take psychedelics, you only reach the
Justin.
lower plane aliens, the ones that
Again,
communicated to the Nazis.
do you remember what I said at the beginning of the show or before the show? You only make things creepy when you.
It was all in humor. I was throwing out a bunch of
And
Alex
then you get
Jones
somebody
references.
on the comments like, "I knew you were a brother," and then at that point,
I think I
you're
weirded some people out. Reese was about ready to turn off my microphone, but
Were you drinking Joe's dandelion tea?
no.
Oh,
I just
Honestly, it was-
dandelion. No tea.
It was just a bunch of Alex Jones references, and I was having some fun. But okay, I want to go to local stuff.
local.
So we've been really hashing out some ideas. I don't know if we really got anywhere
We didn't
on nationals.
Was-
We had
That's
some
good.
ideas.
We talked about
Right.
it. That's what you need to do. In your little graphic shop, talk about it.
And all of that off of my question, do you think it's important to have a national series? So let's go to local.
I know
a big
nothing about local right now, just
Okay,
so you know.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I'm curious. I'm really a big proponent of getting new people into racing.
Yeah.
I think if we want to see the sport grow, we need to get people into racing. We need to make it easy for new people to get in. We need to stop trying to squeeze everything we can out of our current
Yes.
group, which is
Yep.
called farming. You take your current chunk of land and you get everything you can out of it. I think we need to go hunting. We need to get new people.
That sounds like Hunger Games, and I like the way that this is going.
Okay, I'm a hunter. Okay, I want to get
People.
new
Yeah.
people into racing.
I'm gonna leave now. I didn't know because these people are cannibals, so aren't they? I'm seeing a lot of
I don't-
signs that
You mean the
This is-
Australians?
Aborigines.
Aborigines?
You know,
No.
some are. Come on.
I don't
know.
think they're-
Look at Joe shaking his head. I mean, like some
I don't-
are. Back in the day, the Aborigines. Come on. Do you know any history? Do you? Never
I
mind.
don't know Aboriginal
We're
history.
done. If anyone's listening and they're an Aborigine or a descendant of one,
I could
we're
tell you
sorry.
the
We know
largest
nothing.
marsupial predator, they think there's actually a few of them left. They thought they went extinct like 50, 60 years ago. What was they?
Giants?
Tasmanian tigers, I think they're called.
Devil.
No, not the devil. Those are still around. But there was a giant striped cat. And they think there might still be a couple around. But no, we're not going to go into that.
I'm
That is a
Googling
rabbit
it. I
hole.
just have to Google it so it's in my history so I can read about it tonight.
Okay.
How?
So I'm a big believer that if we want to see the sport do well and grow, we need to get new people into racing.
Right.
Women, it's a little tougher sell because guys are
Wow.
guys are naturally adrenaline junkies and dumb.
It
and
says it's the same thing as it is a Tasmanian devil.
no, there's a different animal.
I Googled a Tasmanian tiger and it says it's a thylacine.
No. It's the Tasmanian tiger.
Google
Look
it.
up a picture of the Pompeii Tasmanian tiger. But no,
Was
we
it
need to
Pompeii Sorry.
go back to local stuff here. So ignore the national stuff.
Okay.
What do you think would get more women into riding? Guys, it's an easy sell if you can get them off the video game controller because we like to do dumb stuff. We're adrenaline junkies. We got testosterone. We like to compete. We like to go catch air. Like it's a little easier
Yeah.
sell. Women have a little broader range of things they might be interested in.
I would say if the pro men weren't so damn ugly.
Are you kidding?
What?
They're...
What?
Chad, turn it off. They're amazing. We were just talking about Billy, remember?
Just kidding. I was just talking about when I got back into it about 2010, 11. I was sitting in the bleachers with Hanson, and I'm looking around at all these kids, and they all look like dorks. And I'm like, who are these dorks? And they were all the pros.
Ryan
Yeah, the pro
Belpoto.
class.
No, it was.
Oh,
I don't
poor
want to say any names,
Ryan.
but I was like, these guys are all knuckleheads. They look like knuckleheads, but they were fast.
But they're the fastest men.
Yeah.
Something about that redhead gene.
It was just the local stuff. It was.
Good
But-
point. There's some
I'm-
fast redheads.
No, think about it.
They're aggressive.
They're fiery.
They're aggressive.
Redheads
They don't have
a
souls.
rare. What is it? It's a gene mutation that creates their red hair.
You know what?
They're-
I will bring you back on
Can
to talk about the cat piss.
Jesus.
Why I
What?
think the fastest racers have
Stop.
brain
Is this-
worms from cat piss.
what? Don't talk. First
Okay,
of all, I
we
hate
will
that
research
word.
this.
I hate that word.
There
I'm
we
still
go.
okay. First of all, just so everyone knows, I googled Pompeii Tasmanian tiger, and it still comes up only as a Tasmanian devil. So
Justin Googled it. All it was Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan,
oh
Joe Rogan.
my gosh. Okay.
It's like
You
like
need to
Facebook
talk,
news.
First of all, thanks to you, now my husband was like listening to one of the, I don't even know. And now he's like talking about it, the podcast. And I'm just,
You're getting off track again.
wow, we're
Jesse.
so off. I'll put my phone away.
Yes, put it down. We can cover
Sorry.
all this in the after show
Okay,
or later.
um,
We can have
We
tacos
were
this
talking
week.
about, we're not going to talk about the cat thing that you just said. That's gross. And then we'll go back to the question about girl. Okay, yes, the difference between boys and girls. We all know what that is, hopefully.
But-
You have to just want to do it. You can't go
Okay.
hunting for people, you weirdo. You have to want to.
You can get people. Okay, so for example, I do free riding clinics a couple times a year. Let me explain. I do those a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Now, I've had a lot of people who have never once lined up on a starting line get enough confidence after the clinic to go start racing. My current office manager for my events, Charla, she was actually on the show a couple weeks ago. I met her because her son came and did our first clinic.
Okay.
He was like 5. He had a lot of fun. Talked his parents into going ahead and letting him try a race. He's a little
Right.
PW rider. And they're like, well, they were more off-road people. They weren't really into moto.
Isn't that like how everyone
And-
starts?
So they're like, okay, we'll try a race. Next thing you know, they're doing the whole Riverdale series. Next thing you know, they're doing the whole PRO series. They get him a new bike. They get him sponsors. Now he's racing all the time. Now his little sister's into racing.
Yeah.
Now they got so into it. Charlotte is working the Pacific Racing Organization Series, and she is my office manager. All because they tried a clinic.
Yeah, you made it
went well.
accessible to them.
Exactly. So that's my thing about hunting is finding people who already have an interest and showing them that it's not too intimidating to go just try it. And I want to get more people lined up on the gate. So how do we get more women on the gate for a local race?
I think you just do that. I think, first of all, that's one of the best things about this sport. I mean, I played soccer, basketball, we've done volleyball, track, horses, you name it. We've done a lot of things with our family, but motocross is, you always hear moto family. It is such a tight-knit sport, and family is crucial. Having your parents there to support you, having support in general is crucial. So having clinics, having camps. I remember the first Panic Rev camp I went to, I was coaching the beginner and the women's class, and I met this guy named Aaron Pruitt. And we just hit it off, and he was super kind, and he's like, yeah, one of my kids is doing it, and it was Caleb. And Tristan, I don't think was at the first one or riding at the first one. And then next thing you know, Aaron's at the one in Washougal, and then next thing you know, they're all riding, and I literally watched them go from like a beginner stage to look at what they're doing now, nationals. And Aaron, they were at my wedding, like we're good friends. But that was the whole, I think, being vulnerable and humble enough as being up here, coming to meet somebody down here just starting out, like what you're doing. It's great. Volunteering or making camps, having camps, having a promoter or a track owner say, we're going to open the camp, so there's no agenda. There's no one, just this track is going to open up on these odd hours, right? To make it accessible for you to come camp with your family, have a good time. No competing, no racing, no just structured X, Y, or Z, right?
So do you know
more relaxing for families to come? And then you cultivate these relationships. And then when these relationships are made, then it's going to open up doors. At the end of the day, like that's all it is being vulnerable, being generous, and cultivating a relationship. And that's what makes the community great. And that's also what breaks a community. So
did you listen to the episode where we had Kaylin Benaroya call in? She is the founder, or one of the founders, of Dirtastic. I don't know if you've seen that. Fairly new, but it is a women's only group, and they put together ride days and events where people volunteer their time, and they work with other women, both in off-road and moto skills.
Is this like Midwest?
No, it's right around here. They have an event coming up at Washougal. They did one at Riverdale. Yeah, it's called Dirtastic, and it's women instructors.
I'm not looking at my phone. I'm just looking that up.
You know Tracy Sheehan, right?
I don't know last names, but sure.
You used to be Tracy Fabian.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Okay.
I know Tracy.
Yeah, she's one of the instructors.
Oh, cool.
And she's one of the people heavily involved in the group, and I like what they're doing, and that's why I called her. And she got a little bit of fame. She was one of the Makeup to Mud girls. But
yeah.
But they got this Dirtastic thing going where women work with other women on riding skills, and they have camps and then group rides, and I think that kind of stuff is great. Personally, some people may disagree, and I've actually seen some people social media disagree, but people will disagree on everything.
People are going to disagree on it. Yeah, I think that's great, and I think especially for a smaller group, because the ratio of men to women, there's less women out there doing it, so why not stick together? And that's the whole
I think it's good, and some people would argue that they should work with men and stuff too. I think it's very intimidating, especially to new women.
Yeah, why?
To go and work with them. I think it's great to have a women's only group just to help them feel more comfortable.
Women are really good at being super competitive towards each other.
Oh, let's not even go into that.
Men don't like to get beat by a woman.
Let's not even go into that.
I hate it. Like, I would rather be like, oh yeah, I got lapped 5 times by the guy in last place. But if I get beat by a girl.
Oh, I know.
No, so I think it's important. But that being said, the only thing that fueled my desire to ride was to beat my sister. The only thing. I developed a love for riding. I did not jump on a bike because I loved it. Let's be real. You grow to love it. You get hurt a bunch. It's like, it's not something you enjoy right off the bat. You develop a love for it, right? So women need to be encouraged by others, pushed by other women, sorry. But then again, don't just stay isolated with women, because that's why the sport will go nowhere if you do just stay isolated with women. So
Yes, I think it's just a good way to help women get in and feel comfortable, because they get
Absolutely.
intimidated, and too often they're doing it just to follow around their boyfriend. So they
Sign
kind of
me
need
up.
some other ones to, like, hey, no, you can do this. You can
Yeah.
unload your bike by yourself.
Yeah.
You can start your bike by yourself, and you can go ride.
yeah.
Go do it. Look, they're doing it. You can go do it. And then get the confidence up, and then get in the mix, and let's
Yeah.
make it happen.
Well, that's how women, a lot of the younger girls that are now leading the sport, Hannah Hodges, Jordan Jarvis, Brandy Richards, these girls, they saw Ashley Filet go do something, like I said before, open a door to something that not even 1% of men get to do. She got signed by, she got signed by Honda. She's out there winning. She's in Vogue. She's got TV shows. It just made it like, oh, this is, and she's 5'4", 5'5". She weighed 100 pounds. It's like, oh, this is actually something we can do. So yeah, it is important to have strong role models in your area and nationally to see the sport grow, for sure.
All right. We're going to have to get out of here in a moment, but anything else you think would help get more women onto a starting line at a local race? You got any good theories? You got any?
I think we just just do it. Start somewhere, and don't. I remember racing PIR for the first couple times, and Joni Basilio. Remember Joni? She was racing.
She was a savage.
She was gnarly, and I got lapped like I said 4 or 5
Matt
times.
Basilia's mom. She was a savage on a bike,
Yeah,
and she would take you out if need be.
yeah. She rode a 450. She was gnarly. But she's also one of the kindest people ever. And you just have to go talk to somebody. Like, you have to not be isolated in your shell. Not, but it's like the same. I think you're right though. With the guys, it's like, come on, son, we're gonna go do this. And then if a girl's like, I want to go ride, you're just like, okay, but that's just the nature of the beast. And I think all women's sports are kind of that way, right? Women's basketball, women's soccer, tennis, like we don't really take it too seriously, but you should, and you're going to ultimately kill the whole environment if you don't. Because
One more question
oh
on local stuff. Actually,
What?
I got two.
oh
Do you think there should be more or less women's divisions at a local race?
Yeah,
Because
of
there's women's, novice,
course.
amateur, expert usually.
Yeah, yes.
Do you think there should be more or less? Or should it
Wait.
just be women's?
no, I think no, it should not just be women's. And the whole argument over whether it should be the same gate or not, that's because, again, sometimes you show up and there's 2 girls.
I will say
Other
I
times
like
there's-
when women ride with men. I think if you're an okay racer, go race with the guys. You will get faster.
I
But-
absolutely agree. I don't think you should ride with, okay, first of all, bike sizes is what I think. So PIR, notorious for putting us with
Super minis.
super minis, and you had half of our class was jumping everything, the other half wasn't, but most of our class was on a big bike. Now, just for safety and common sense, you don't go even though those super minis were fast, again, half of their class fast, half of their class not, you don't go put a bike that could potentially land on or take out a smaller bike and a smaller child together.
So you
So
think they
if
should
you
be
have
split up?
women pro, like I remember when it would be
All
like
3 of you.
me
I'm sorry.
and Courtney and maybe Sydney Dixon, Krista. Sorry for everyone else. I'm forgetting.
I'm just making a
but we
joke.
would go with
Because
when we knew that when it was a low key track day, right? And
Yeah.
you knew who's running the gate or the promoters. I don't think it ever happened at PIR, but I'm thinking more Washougal, Albany. We'd just be like, can we go with the Before the Hill was great.
okay.
Before the Hill is great because it was a smaller class than maybe 250 intermediate, or they would put us whichever day was a smaller gate pick, a second gate to 250 intermediate or Before the Hill. That was a lot better. And yes, you do get pushed by the guys when they're lapping you or
That doesn't
catching
answer
them.
if we should break them. Should we have the available classes, or should we just have
Yes,
one
no,
women's?
but not one. Of course not, because then what if the little girls?
Okay, I'm just asking.
So you have a girls class. I think you should have a little girls beginner class.
like
Right, we're
with an
talking
age
like
cap.
Well, I don't.
or just a skill cap?
I don't know. I mean, what are girls? I'm.
Well, there's a lot. You know, there's
Yeah.
little sick. It is a little odd.
I think about like when
seeing
you
65s out with the 250s because there are
That's
girls
so
out there
okay.
on little
I'm thinking.
bikes.
I'm just trying to think right now. Most of the races that I remember locally, the little girls that were on 50s and 65s stayed in the because there's so many 50 classes, and so they felt comfortable. They stayed in those classes because there were not two girls out here on a 50. Do you know what I'm saying? It was always
Yeah.
spread out. And then when you get to the women's class, women's needs to be, and 85s I think 85 girls should stay with 85. That's what I did. I went with super mini and then your 85 division skill and then age, right?
Okay.
And so then when you get to the women's class, that's 125s and up.
Okay. Yeah.
There we need skill, 100%. Because again, we're talking, they're all on big bikes. They need beginner, whatever they want to call it, junior or novice, and then pro. Or so actually, it always used to be pro, and then over, which was quote
Which
unquote.
pro is pretty much gone now. It's just
Yeah,
like
because you have to
expert.
be licensed, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, or it could be advanced. But then you have your junior and intermediate women. And those are your girls going to the amateur nationals. Those were the girls jumping everything. And they move up when they feel comfortable to get out of beginner. So you just have beginner, novice, pro. And novice would be compiled into intermediate as well. I don't know.
Because you know a lot of tracks.
But no, they
do
shouldn't
it
have little bikes
differently.
and big bikes at all. I know, and everyone did it differently. And
Every
then you,
promoter handles the women a little differently. So I was just curious your thoughts as someone who kind of
well,
went
I
through the
personally
ranks. What do you
hated. I absolutely hated lining up next to little bikes. These girls that are on small bikes or the little boys, because there's many times where I wrecked. I was out of control, and just to have the idea of like, you're bigger than them, you're faster, you're jumping them, and so many times there were these really bad wrecks because you had these two totally different skill levels, and then the promoters, PIR specifically, would just say there's not enough of you. But at the end of the day, rider safety is way more important than numbers, and we're here till 9 anyway, so just give us a safe race.
Okay. I was just curious, what you thought about that, because there's a lot of different opinions on that.
What different opinions could there be?
Some people think there should be only one women's class. Some people think we need to do it by age, like have a youth or up. And there's a variety of
What does
of
Joe
different.
have to say
Well,
about
Joe-
that?
yeah,
That was
Joe,
really
please speak.
fascinating.
I would say all women, one moto, 2 gate drops. Or like big bikes, and like you
Yeah,
said, the little
you just-
85s and under, you're in your
own
the
little
You're with the 85s and 65s, same class, but
For the most part, that's exactly what we did at Washougal.
Yeah.
They would drop the pro, and sometimes, because I remember many times we'd get dropped with Brooke Whipple, and she would race intermediate, and she'd hold shot us. So we would get women's pro. I mean, Washougal, I remember like 2 to 3 times would drop the pro first, because it's a bigger track, and then intermediate, and then novice and beginner, right? So they had
Gotcha.
3
Right.
gate drops, but
Yeah.
but at a smaller track, no less
gate
numbers, just 2.
yeah,
Little bikes are
intermediates
not
and-
even a part of it, though. They're their own separate class, and in their own separate class, they can have 2 gate drops too. But you just don't put little and big bikes on the same track for men or women. That's stupidity. That's just not.
Right.
That's not smart at all.
So yeah, if you had a lot of riders, you could do junior, intermediate,
Yeah.
1 gate drop, beginner, 2nd gate.
Now,
drop.
what if you're transgender?
Then
Awkward silence.
I raced against a trans.
Did you race against one?
Yeah. So did a lot of the girls that I know.
Let's not name names,
No,
but
no,
you
there
did.
was a local one that we raced against when we started out, and it was really. I remember this was years ago. This was over 10 years ago, and still being like, "This isn't fair. This isn't fair." Like men and women are distinctively different for the reasons that you listed earlier. Men, we're not built the same. We don't think the same at all. So no, I think. And then a couple of years ago, there was a huge debate because there was a transgender in the amateur nationals for the women's class and competing and winning and kicking butt.
Right.
And that's that's our society, and that's a whole nother topic. But no, they're not supposed to be in that class.
Okay. Simple as that. We're going to have to get out of here. We're going to have our after show in a few minutes. Jessie,
What?
thank you.
Yes. You're welcome.
That hour flew by, didn't it?
It did.
So do your research. For the next time you're on here, let's talk about
Pompeii.
toxoplasmosis.
Okay. Wait.
That is a parasite that is found in cat urine that can get inside your brain
Oh, my mom's told me about this. Sorry.
and makes you make, sometimes poor, aggressive decisions. And they say,
Why would you bring this up, though?
because they say over 40% of people involved in motorcycle deaths on the street have toxoplasmosis. They have not done any studies on motocross,
So
but
say crazy cat lady.
exactly. That is actually where the crazy cat lady came from,
No,
because
my mom, because we don't really like cats, right? We had the barn cats growing up, but it's always, you can't, cats are gross. Cats are really gross.
yes,
And
there
now I
it's
understand.
found, it's passed on in cat urine. It often gets to rats. That's when rats get really aggressive and aren't afraid
Say
of cats.
it again.
The
How do I
cats eat
spell
them.
this?
TOXOPLAS.
Oh my gosh, hold on. Got it. Oh, it's the first. I just typed in
Toxoplasmosis.
toxo.
Yes. Do your research on that. That will be
Fever,
the next
muscle
thing
pain.
we talk about, since we're totally in left field now. But Jessie, I want to say thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. I learned a lot just now.
Would
That's
you like to play the
disgusting.
didgeridoo
Nope,
before you leave?
I'm good. That
Joe, would you like to play us a song before we get out of here?
I want to practice on it.
Okay, we'll practice and maybe we'll do it on the next episode. So that
it
was
can
our.
be in your cat litter. Change it, guys. That's disgusting.
We're gonna
That
have a
is
fun one about
so
toxoplasmosis. But yeah, that is Moto Monday number 88. Why women's motocross is dead, which it's not dead, but it's a good title, and I think we had fun. We could have gone another 2 hours though.
You can get it from eating undercooked lamb or pork.
Oh my goodness. Now you're interested.
I'm
Joe's done. We got to get out of here. We'll be back for
Bye.
the after show in just a few minutes. Thank you guys for watching or listening. As always, check out 110clothing.com. Got a bunch of good sales over there. You can get one of these Moto Monday t-shirts. And like I said, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Catch you guys later.